Ever get that feeling like something just doesn't add up? Like in this parable we're going to unpack about the vineyard, right? It's harvest time, and this owner's like desperate for help, so he hires these workers, but he keeps going back.
Several times throughout the day, actually.
Yeah, like it's almost quitting time. Why even bother?
It's almost as if he's trying to make a point, wouldn't you say?
Totally. And then there's the whole pay situation, right? Everyone gets the same amount, even those who barely worked an hour.
The workers who started early, they were understandably upset. I mean, who wouldn't be? You work all day, you expect to get paid more than the guy who strolls in at the 11th hour.
You're like, hello, basic fairness, right?
Exactly. But see, that's precisely what Jesus is trying to challenge here, our human notions of fairness. He's taking us deeper into this radical generosity that defines God's grace.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're moving past a simple labor dispute here.
Right.
This isn't just about wages and hours. It's about something much bigger.
Exactly. It's about understanding the boundless, undeserved nature of God's love. It's not a reward system. You don't earn it. It's just given.
So it's not about our spiritual resume.
No, not at all. It's about recognizing that we're all invited to participate in this incredible act of love, no matter when we show up or what we bring to the table.
Which is a tough concept to grasp, honestly. I mean,
Why?
we're hardwired to think in terms of what we deserve, what we've earned.
I agree, it goes against our very nature, but that's the beauty of it, isn't it? It's a completely different way of thinking, a different way of living.
Okay, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, though, there's something that's been bugging me. The hiring times. The owner goes out at dawn, then again at mid-morning, noon, late afternoon. Like, it can't be random, right? I mean, there's got to be something more to it.
You're absolutely right. That detail, it's often overlooked, but it's incredibly significant. Because, you see, those times, they correspond with the traditional Jewish prayer times.
Wait, are you serious? So you're saying there's a connection here between vineyard hiring practices and ancient prayer rituals?
Absolutely. Jesus was brilliant at weaving in these subtle layers of meaning. He's using this familiar imagery, this everyday scenario, to challenge our assumptions and reveal deeper truths.
Whoa. Mind officially blown. Never would have caught that on my own. It's like, he's saying sometimes we can get so caught up in the rituals, the routines, the outward expressions of faith that we miss the heart of it all, right? Just like those workers, laser-focused on the hours worked, we can become so fixated on our own efforts that we fail to grasp the enormity of the gift we've been given.
That's it. We forget who we're serving and the kind of generosity that defines his character.
This is incredible. It really makes you wonder what else we're skimming over, you know?
Exactly. And that's the beauty of diving deep, peeling back the layers and discovering those hidden gems of wisdom.
Okay, but before we get lost in the weeds here, let's bring it back to the main point. God's grace. It's not earned, it's not deserved, it's a pure gift.
Precisely. And this is where things get really interesting because the parable goes on to challenge our understanding of who's first and who's last.
I'm all ears. So you're talking about that line, the last shall be first and the first last. Always seemed kind of backwards to me.
Right. It's like, what's the deal with that? But it makes you think maybe those who find faith later, who might even feel guilty, like they've wasted time, are actually more open to grace because of it.
You mean they haven't spent their whole lives building up this idea that they've got it all figured out, that they've earned God's favor?
Exactly. They come to the table with a humility that allows them to fully embrace the gift without all the baggage. Think about it. If you've spent years thinking you're pretty good, spiritually speaking, it might be harder to accept that you can't earn God's love. It's already yours.
So they're first because they're not weighed down by trying to earn what's already been given. Wow. Okay, that's kind of blowing my mind a little.
Right. It really challenges our whole understanding of worth and reward. We're so conditioned to think in terms of what we've earned, but God's grace just tosses that out the window.
But wait, if we're saying that those who come to faith later might be more receptive to grace because they're not carrying around all this baggage and expectation, what about those who've been in the vineyard for a while, so to speak? Does that mean they're somehow at a disadvantage?
Not at all. It's not about comparing spiritual journeys or saying that one path is better than another. God's grace is big enough for everyone, no matter where they are in their journey. It's about shifting our focus from what we think we deserve to the overwhelming generosity that we receive.
So it's not about how long we've been following certain rituals or traditions, but about approaching our relationship with God from a place of humility, recognizing that we are all completely dependent on His grace.
Exactly. We don't earn it, and we certainly don't deserve it. It's a pure gift.
It's like those workers who were so focused on what seemed unfair, they missed out on the joy of just being included in the first place.
It's so easy to get caught up in comparison and entitlement, isn't it? But that robs us of experiencing the true joy of grace.
Oh, totally. I think we all struggle with comparison in our own lives, whether it's about our careers, our relationships, or even, our spiritual lives. There's always that temptation to look around and see how we measure up.
Absolutely. We're bombarded with these messages telling us we need to be more, do more, achieve more. It's easy to fall into that trap of measuring ourselves against others and feeling like we don't measure up. But that's not how God sees us.
It's interesting, right? Because the parable seems to suggest that Jesus was more interested in breaking down those walls of comparison and judgment, not building them up.
Exactly. He constantly reached out to those who were marginalized and excluded, those who didn't fit the religious mold. He was showing us that God's grace is available to everyone, regardless of their background, their past, their mistakes.
Which feels incredibly relevant today, even though this parable is thousands of years old.
Absolutely. We still live in a world that's obsessed with fairness, with getting what we deserve. But the gospel, it completely challenges that. It says that we've already been given the greatest gift imaginable, unconditional love and grace, and it's available to everyone, no strings attached.
Okay, so that's amazing in theory. But how do we actually live that out? How do we move from this mindset of constantly trying to earn God's favor to really embracing the freedom of grace?
It starts by acknowledging that we are all on a journey, and we're all at different stages. None of us has it all figured out. We all need grace.
So instead of constantly comparing ourselves to others, we need to focus on cultivating a sense of gratitude for what we've been given.
Yes. And a recognition that we are deeply loved, regardless of what we do or don't do. From that place of security, from that place of knowing that we are fully accepted and loved, we can start to extend that same grace to others.
So it's less about proving ourselves and more about recognizing the needs of others and responding with compassion and generosity, just like we've been shown compassion and generosity.
Precisely. When we truly understand the depth of God's grace in our own lives, it spills over into how we treat others. We become more compassionate, more forgiving, more willing to offer grace freely, even when it's undeserved. Because when it comes down to it,
We all fall short. None of us truly deserves grace. It's not a reward for good behavior. It's a gift.
and it's a gift that has the power to transform everything if we let it.
It's amazing how this story, right, just this a simple parable about workers and like getting paid can take us on this whole journey.
Yeah.
We start out thinking, hey, that's not fair. But then we end up like really contemplating this huge idea of grace and what it means to, actually follow Jesus.
That's the power of parables, isn't it? They kind of sneak past our defenses, and they get us thinking on a whole different level. And it's often those parables that challenge us the most. Those are the ones that offer the most freedom in the end.
Because they force us to confront those ideas we have, those things we think are true, but like maybe they're actually holding us back.
Exactly. This parable, for example, it's asking us to let go of that deep-seated need we all have to earn God's favor. It's like an invitation to a whole new way of living, one that's not about proving ourselves all the time, but about just receiving this gift of grace.
It's about recognizing that we all have a place at the table, Doesn't matter when we get there or like what we bring with us, which is tough, honestly, especially in a world that's obsessed with like achievements and being worthy.
But that's the radical thing about the gospel, right? It completely flips our human ideas of worth and reward. It tells us that our value, it isn't tied to what we do, but to whose we are beloved children of God.
And that kind of love, that kind of acceptance, it can change everything. It can break down those walls we build between each other, heal old hurts, and free us from that constant pressure to prove ourselves.
It's a freedom that's available to all of us, but it takes a real shift in perspective. It means letting go of those old ideas, the ones about having to earn our place, and instead just receiving this love that's already ours.
So as we're like wrapping up this deep dive, I keep thinking about this radical idea of grace. If it truly is as big and all-encompassing as this parable suggests, how does that change how I see my relationship with God? And then how can that change how we interact with other people too?
Those are the questions we should all be wrestling with, because when we begin to really grasp how enormous God's grace is, it should impact everything in our lives. It should make us more generous, more forgiving, more willing to extend that grace to others, even when we don't think they deserve it.
Because honestly, none of us really deserve it.
Yeah.
And yet here it is, this incredible, life-changing gift given freely to all of us.
And when we start to live our lives from that place of gratitude and humility, it changes everything. It opens us up to a deeper relationship with God and with others. And that's a journey worth taking.